Hello friends, schoolsteps.in welcomes you again. This is the last part of Grid View Pager. In this tutorial, we'll talk about three things. Number one, image transition. Second, custom layout. And third, how to change the background of a particular column. Let's do it. Open the class My Grid Pager Adapter. Go in the end and look for the class Image Loader inside it. And look for the method onPostExecute. So in the beginning of this method, let's say transition drawable is equal to new transition drawable. Place a semicolon here, and in the parameter we need to say array of drawable. So we need to say new drawable, and let's pass two values here. One is the default color which we returned here, and second one is the result which we are getting right here. Now the next thing which we need to do is right here we need to say transition drawable dot start transition, which is right here, and here we need to pass duration in the milliseconds. Let's pass 10,000, that means 10 seconds. And last but not the least, rather than passing result here, we need to pass the object of transition drawable right here. Because now result we are passing as a parameter right here. So here we need to pass the object of transition drawable. That is it. Let's run our program now. Here is the output of our program, and in the background if you see, the image transition is happening slowly. Let's pull it up. Again the image will paint slowly, and same is true with the third image. Let's cut down the number of milliseconds. Let's make it to 3000, which is 3 seconds, so that our image could paint quickly. Now let's work on the custom layout. Let's go to project, right click on the drawable folder, go to new, click on file. Let's make a file with the name shape.xml, and right here let's define the tag shape. Let's define the schema. After defining the schema, let's give the shape. Let's choose rectangle. Now inside the tag shape, let's define another tag stroke, which is right here. Let's define some properties. Let's say dash gap, let's say 4 dp. Let's say dash width, let's give 10 dp. Width, let's say 6 dp. Last but not the least, let's define the color. Let's say black. The next tag which we need to define is solid, and let's define the color. Let's say white. Now let's define the padding, say bottom, and let's define it 20 dp. Let's define left, right and top, and let's give the value as 20 dp each. Now in the similar way we need to create gradient.xml. Let me quickly create it. So I have created the file gradient.xml. In this file we have defined a tag with the name shape, and inside the shape tag we have defined another tag with the name gradient. Now next thing which we need to do is right click on the layout folder, go to new, go to XML and click on layout XML file. Give the name as custom layout and click on finish. It will create a file for you. Go to the source of this file and you will get linear layout here. Let's change the linear layout to frame layout, and let's define the background of frame layout. So we need to say background, and right here we need to say drawable, and we need to pass gradient which we have just created. Save it. Next we need to define one text view inside the frame layout. Let's do it. Let's define the gravity and let's define it as center. Let's define the margin. Let's define 8 dp. Next thing which we need to define is the background. So we need to say background drawable, and let's define shape here. Shape here is referring to shape.xml, which we defined just couple of minutes back. The next thing which we need to define is the text. So we need to say text, and let's say custom fragment text. Now custom fragment text I have already defined inside the strings.xml. It is right here. Let's go back to the custom layout, and the last thing which we need to define is the text color. Let's say color, and let's say primary text light. Now let's open MyGridPager adapter, and inside the constructor of MyGridPager adapter, let's add one more row to the master list. So right here we need to say master list.add, and inside the new row, let's say new custom fragment. Now the class custom fragment doesn't exist, so we need to create it. Go to project, expand Java, right click on the package structure, go to new and click on Java class. Give the name as custom fragment. Click OK. It will create a class for you. Let's extend this class to fragment. And inside this class, let's override the method onCreateView. The method is right here. Click on OK. And inside this method, rather than returning super.onCreateView, let's say inflator.inflate. The first parameter that we need to pass is the r.layout.customLayout. This is the one which we have just created. The second parameter is the container, which is the view group, which is right here. And the third parameter is Boolean. Let's pass false. Let's run our program now. Here is the output. Let's pull it up and go in the end. And right here you can see the custom layout. You can see the gradient in the background and the black dots right here with the white color in the background. Now let's go back to the MyGridPager adapter and look for the LRU cache, which is right here. Copy the entire code and paste it right here. And let's call it LRU call backgrounds. Further, delete everything inside the create method. And let's change the parameter of the create method. Let's call it point page. So basically now this will return us a page. Page contains rows and columns. So using page.y we can get the row, and using page.x we can get the column. So let's assume that we need to change the background of row number 2 and column number 2. So if page.y, which is the row, is equal to 1, so technically it is referring to row second, and page.x, which is the column, is equal to 1, which is technically referring to the column 2. So as we are gonna change the background of only one column, so we'll be needing only one image. So let's say int image number is equal to bg underscore images of, let's say, 2. The next thing which we need to define is the row and column. So let's say int page row, and let's say int page call. And right here we need to say page row is equal to page.y and page call is equal to page.x. Now last but not the least, we need to call image loader class. So right here we need to say new image loader dot execute, and we need to pass the image number inside the execute as we did before. Place a semicolon. Now next thing which we need to do is to define two more variables here. One is point and another one is the Boolean value, which is by default set to false. Now say my page is equal to page and call background change is equal to true. Now the next thing which we need to do is right here we need to place a return statement. So we need to say return default color. This is exactly the same as we did before right here. We'll talk more about this return statement after some time. The next thing which we need to do is inside the class image loader, we need to look for the onPostExecute method, and right after the transition drawable, we need to put one if-else condition. So what we are saying is if call background change, then do something else, do something. Now call background change is the variable which we have set to true right here inside the create method. So let's cut these two lines and put it inside the else condition. And in the similar way, inside the if condition, we need to say LRU page backgrounds. Please note that right here we are talking about the LRU row backgrounds, and right here we are talking about LRU page backgrounds. Dot put. Here we need to say my page, comma, transition drawable, which is right here. Place a semicolon, and in the next line you need to say notify page background changed. So right here we are saying notify row background changed, and right here we are saying notify page background changed. And inside it we need to pass two values. One is the page row and another one is the page call. We are picking the page row and page call right from here. The next thing we need to do here is we need to say call background change is equal to false. Save it. Now last but not the least, we need to override the method get background for page. If you remember, we have already overridden the method get background for row. In the similar way, we need to override the method get background for page. Let's do it. Here is get background for page. Click on OK. And inside it, you need to say return LRU page backgrounds dot get. Here you need to pass new point. And inside it you need to say column, comma, row. So column you are getting from here and row you are getting from here. Here one thing you need to take care is first you need to pass column and then you need to pass row. And the simple reason for this is if you go to the constructor of point, it is taking X first, which is the column, and Y later, which is the row. That is it. Let's run our program now. Here is the output. If you observe, all background images corresponding to the rows are not visible. Let's go to the row 2 and column 2. And if you observe right here, you can see the image in the background only for that particular column. Let's correct our program now. Let's go back to the adapter. So right here inside the LRU page backgrounds, instead of returning default color, we need to say myGridPager adapter, which is the name of our class, dot background none. Let's change the transition time to 500 milliseconds. It is just to make sure that our images get loaded quickly. Let's run our program now. Here is the output again. All the images are back. And if you go to the row 2 and column 2, you can see a different image in the background. Friends, with this I take your leave. Thank you so much. Please like our page on facebook.com/letsandroid. If you have any query, do write us at info@schoolsteps.in or schoolstepsin@gmail.com. Thank you.